Folks, we gather here today because we believe that recognising and celebrating today as Australia Day is wrong. We too believe it is inappropriate and disrespectful to Aborigines all over this nation. And that is why today, to us, to all of us, is Invasion Day. It is Invasion Day! Before we move on, folks, I think it's very, very important that we congratulate Adam Goods for being Australian of the Year. Can I please introduce one of our great community leaders, one of our great elders, a gentleman from come all the way from Cape Barren Island, Mr. Jim Everett.
I'm a bit croaky today. I'm a bit croaky. I can put this thing here. Does it work? Is that working? I can't help that. Today is a day of reflection. While Australia celebrates the invasion of our lands, the massacres of our people, the rapes of our matriarchal grandmothers, their daughters, we see our invasion being celebrated. It is time for us to reflect on where we are now. The real problem that we live with here in this country right now is that white Australia is in a regression. They suffer from over drinking, they have drunkenness and violence in the streets, they protect their churches from their pedophiles, they hide their pedophiles away, they have sex abuse on children in institutions, and by and large they have ruined this country in just 200 years. We've managed this place for something like 50,000 years or more, but just in 200 years they've polluted our waters, our seas, they put their hormones into the chickens, into the sea where they manage their salmon, and they are slowly strangling the earth mother of our lands around Tasmania.
Shame!
It is a shame. It is a really big shame, because white Australia keeps looking at us, putting our people under an intervention in the Northern Territory to demonise our people, whilst they have this drunken violence and covert violence in their homes, where their men are known to be beating up their women. Now, there are good Australians, of course, and I don't mean that all Australians are bad people, but their society is a regression. It is taking them down and down into the depths. And we stand at a crossroads right at this moment. We either take a very close look at where we're going, look into our communities, develop our cultural strengths, maintain our knowledges, teach our young people that there is a different world inside of the Aboriginal world that isn't what white Australia is about. We can't keep going and looking at white Australia thinking that we will find answers to all the issues that we are faced with. We've got to look inside our own communities. We're not just looking at a collective either. The individual persons in our community need to make up their minds whether they want to be like white society, or whether they see the strengths, the future of culture, the future of our knowledge, building a good place for our young people in the future, because we're never going to change the way white Australia is regressing. I've been in this struggle now for over 40 years, and I'm sure there's many more here that have. And over those years, I thought that after we'd achieved so many things, when we had good premiers like Ray Groom, Jim Bacon, Paul Lennon, that now we are faced once again with those negative governments who want to bring us down once again. We need to stand really strong about being Aboriginal. We need to see ourselves as being a good way of life. We need to bring into the Australian psyche a good feeling that Aboriginal people have. And if you watch NITV, you will see the happiness in those people right around the country. The dancing, the happiness in those communities, the living culture, and the way that they are telling their stories. We need to build more on this. Here in Tasmania, we're at our crossroads, and I think it's time to turn our back on white Australia. And I'm sick of trying to face up to them and turn them our way to get them to understand, because they can't. Their system has got them into the money machine, materialism, exploitation of land, seas and waterways, and they will not give up until every last tree is gone and they've got every dollar, until the sea is polluted and the fish can't live there, until the land is so over-chemicaled that there be no way of growing good foods, and what we will be eating will be foods full of chemicals and pollutions. We don't want to go that way. So we've got to build our own economies. We've got to base our economies on the way that we should treat our environment as Aboriginal people, as we know we are. Because that's our future. We've got to look strongly into that and turn our backs on this white Australia, because it's going nowhere. It's heading downhill big time. I hope that in our Invasion Day protest that there will be some interest by white Australia in taking notice. This morning I emailed Adam Good. I didn't congratulate him on being selected as the Australian of the Year, but I did put to him that perhaps he can open the doors for discussions on sovereignty and changing the day that they celebrate their Australia Day. So saying that, there is only one more thing I can say. This is our land. It's illegally occupied. We never ever had a treaty. They never ever came and asked us if we wanted to be Australian citizens. They only pretend that we're Australian citizens. And if we want to go their way, we'll be working inside their corridors against our own people for white privilege. So we've got to change our direction. We've got to face up to ourselves now and not worry too much about where white Australia's going, because it's a failed colonial experience. This is our land. Our